Sí, sí. Oye, sí, en todo caso tenemos que ir empezando, ¿eh?
I don't know if they are still available only at 9 p.m.
I send them a message.
Oh, yeah?
I send them a message.
But I think it's better to talk with Paloma.
Okay.
Senta aí, parlamentar.
Uno.
Não, tô zoando. She's a good lady, but she talks English with British accent. It's like me with the Spanish from Argentina.
Gustavo está enfermo en el hotel
Sí.
y va a venir ahora dos más, no el resto. O sea, así que da igual, tú lo haces así.
Sí, nada.
Dos más.
Y-
Pero sí, you are Bia.
Bia, yeah.
Bia,
Yeah.
is
60 ahí.
here. And is Bia, Bolsonaro, Rob, tienen dos más. Que
Sí,
son-
lo ponemos aquí.
Que son Estados
You be
Unidos.
here and then y otros dos
They are
ahí.
coming?
No.
Gustavo no, because he's
Otherwise,
there.
someone sit over here.
Yeah, the two that are coming.
Aqui é em inglês, tá?
Aquí es
En inglés, sí.
En inglés. Entonces,
We are speaking English.
dame un boli. ¿Tú tienes boli?
Qué guapo.
Sí. Entonces, bueno, vale. ¿Esto qué es? No, Gustavo está enfermo.
Estamos-
Puedes decir que está ill y que lo sentimos
Sí,
mucho, que
vale,
esperamos que se
vale,
mejore para
vale.
estar con nosotros. Bia, sí, está ahí, Beatriz.
Yeah.
Rob, Eduardo, Marcel, we wish remote.
We'll see.
I tried to reach out
Sí.
to him.
Kader está aquí, vale. Y Schellenberg, esperamos que se conecte como se llame. Ya está. Ok.
Hay que decirle a Shellenberg que tiene que ser antes de las 9, ¿eh?
Claro. Hay otro diputado más que recién llegó en el aeropuerto, se va a venir directo para acá con un otro periodista que es un periodista amigo.
Vale.
Marcos Polón.
So, good evening to everybody. So, first of all, good evening to everybody. Thank you very much for coming. It was a very short-term organization, but we have managed that we have many Brazilian parliamentarians coming here, and we will have them tomorrow in the group, in the ECR Eurolat group, working group first, and then in the group with the ECR, parliamentarian ECR group, to speak about the situation of Brazil, about the alarming situation, I would say, that we are seeing since October 2022, when Lula started, the new government of Lula started kind of progressive crackdown on freedom of expression and on the opposition as a whole. We saw it with worry, and we are seeing with worry that the situation is deteriorating rapidly. We are seeing that the tandem between the President Lula and the Judge de Moraes is becoming a kind of toxic tandem for democracy in Brazil, and we are seeing very serious violations of human rights and those, as I say, of freedom of expression. And we are seeing also, as what is quite normal, let's say, it's very normal but very disgusting. We are seeing the Western European countries ignoring the situation, ignoring the deterioration of freedom and freedom of expression, of liberties in general, of the rights, of the respect of rights in Brazil. We are seeing that leaders of the European Union, like Pedro Sanchez, like Macron, and like others, are visiting Brazil and behaving as if they are in a really full-fledged democracy, an impeccable democracy. And that's not the case. We know it's not the case. We know we are in the path. If we have no reaction, we are on the path of having Brazil also in this big, terrifying community of the Foro de Sao Paulo. We have to remember Lula was a founder of the Foro de Sao Paulo with Fidel Castro. We will that we see it in a kind of situation where they go every time closer to Venezuela, to Bolivia, to Nicaragua, to Ortega's Nicaragua, and what means the command of Cuba as well, who is always omnipresent, all time present in this totalitarian developments that we see of the alliance between socialism and organized crime, which is the key element of this evolution in Latin America in general. That's why I am very, very pleased. I am very pleased to have here all the people we have invited who are going to speak today briefly, because today we have not too much time, but we will close at 9. But we will have an exchange of views, and tomorrow, as I say, with the ECR group and working group, we will develop all these thoughts. I want to introduce, first of all, thank you very much, Eduardo Bolsonaro, who is here, and Bia Kicis. Thank you very much as the leader of the minority now, the past and the present in the parliament, in the Brazilian parliament. And so thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much to Eduardo Cader, the director of the Forum Madrid. Thank you very much to who is co-chairing with me, Rob Rose. Rob Rose is a member of the European Parliament of the Netherlands, and who is enormously active in many fronts of the freedom of defending freedom of speech and defending rights all over Europe and America. He has been often in Latin America and in Spain defending the same cause, because we all know that what happens in Brazil is not only happening in Brazil, and is not only happening in Latin America. It is happening all over the places, and we have it very close in Spain, where the development is also absolutely obnoxious. So without any more delay, I will give the floor now to Eduardo Bolsonaro. Please, thank you for being here.
Not usually with this microphone. Let me see. Yeah, but I cannot move, huh?
What?
No, thank you very much, Herman. We follow you very closely, and we are very glad that you bring our voice here to all Europe when you talk mainly about the Foro de São Paulo, this criminal group that was created by Lula da Silva together with Fidel Castro. In the opening, they read a letter from the leader of the FARC, the guerrillas from Colombia, a narco group that bring a lot of mass to our region. So thank you very much to alert all the Europeans about that. And also only to talk about one issue that very recently happened is about Hugo Carvajal, right? The number one the number one man for the information of Hugo Chavez that was arrested here in Spain. And he was talking about the connections and how the Foro de São Paulo group used even embassies to laundering money and to do their connections about the drug dealers, even hitting some Europeans party as Cinque Estrela from Italy, and also Podemos in Spain. So thank you very much for bringing this voice and alert all the Europeans about all of that. And also Rob, that recently we met ourselves in Argentina during the Milei's possession. And it's very nice to see you back here again in the interview that we just had. We are basically here talking about what is going on in Brazil, and things are not that good. And the first point that I would like to alert is that just like the Venezuelan friends that we have, Eduardo Kader, we also in Brazil never imagined that we would reach one point like the point that we are looking nowadays. We have a bunch of cases. I'll talk here about one or two cases that are the most clear cases you see that things are not good in Brazil. The first case is about the representative, someone just like me and Bia Kicis that are here together with me, a Brazilian congressman that his name is Daniel Silveira. He was convicted for almost 9 years in jail because he made a video using his cell phone. So using his cell phone, he made a video talking bad words for the Supreme Court. For sure, I would never do a video like that. But anyway, when you have this kind of problem in Brazil, by the law, you go to a court and usually you receive some money because of that. But with Daniel Silveira, he was arrested. It was during the night. And I always remember that in Brazil, we have the article number 53 in our constitution saying that senators and all of the congressmen in Brazil, we have the right to speak whatever you want, and we will never get responsible in the courts by our opinions, our votes, or whatever that comes from our mouth. So, and more than that, in Brazil, a representative only can go to jail if you are committing a crime, and a crime that is very bad, not any kind of crime, but only special crimes with very high punishment. So none of this case happened, but still Daniel Silveira is still in jail. And more than that, in the time that he went to jail, Kimberly, that's following us here, he received the presidential pardon from President Jair Bolsonaro. But when Bolsonaro did not get reelected, when he stepped out from the presidency of Brazil, the Supreme Court canceled, for the first time in Brazil's history, this presidential pardon. And now he's serving almost 9 years in jail because a video that he published in social media using his cell phone. So this is a case that is very clear for everybody. It's impossible to someone agree that this is happening in a democracy. But things get even worse with the most recent case that we are calling in Brazil, Bia Kicis, the Twitter Files Brazil, where Elon Musk is showing to everybody how was the relationship between the Supreme Court, between the Justice of the Supreme Court, Alexandre de Moraes, and the Twitter in Brazil. Remembering that Elon Musk bought Twitter in October of 2022, right before the first and second round of the Brazilian elections. And he's telling that once that he bought Twitter, his employers start to receive orders from the Justice Alexandre de Moraes to block journalists and politicians, mainly conservatives. And Alexandre de Moraes was telling Twitter to do not say to the users that were getting blocked that it was coming, these orders were coming from the Supreme Court. So when Elon Musk proved that, when he showed the evidences about that, I think there will be no floor to Alexandre de Moraes keep as a justice from the Supreme Court. Because we are not talking here only about a moral issue, but also about a violation of our constitution, a violation of a constitution in anywhere, any country that says lives a democracy. And more than that, the representative Nicolas Ferreira asked Elon Musk to show more about what is going on in Brazil. And Elon Musk said, first, I have to take my employees out of Brazil because they're receiving threats from the Supreme Court and they can go to jail if I keep showing the cases that are going on in Brazil. So this is the atmosphere that we have. And I always remember, this is only one very small piece about our 2022 elections. I'm sure that when Elon Musk keep talking about that, first thing, things are get even dirtier. And the second thing is very likely Twitter is going to be banned from Brazil, just like what happened in Russia, China, Iran, Myanmar, and some other countries, but it's very hard to say that are countries that are living a democracy. Brazil, very sadly, will also lose Twitter. So thank you for to give us the opportunity to talk this with our European friends, Hermann Tertsch and Rob. Again, thank you very much. And I hope that tomorrow we are going to talk a little bit more about these cases because as I'm talking here, this is only the point, very small point of the iceberg. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eduardo. Now I will give the floor to Ms. Bia Kicis. She's an activist, she's a lawyer, former Attorney General for Brazil's Federal District. She's the most voted deputy of the woman deputy in the chamber, and she signed also the Carta de Madrid, the Charter of Madrid, which is the founding letter of document of the Forum Madrid, whose director is here, and which is an organization for the defense of the conservative forces, coordination and common defense of conservative values in America and in Europe, which is really very present now since it was signed, very present in both continents. Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Bia Kicis, and uses the floor. Thank you. And thank you for signing it so soon.
Thank you, honorable members of this House, Mr. Hermann Tertsch, Mr. Rob, Ross, Eduardo, I'm sitting here between Eduardos, these honorable Eduardos, and I'm really, really honored to be here and to have this opportunity to talk to you in this house, being a parliament in Brazil and being so concerned, worried about what's going on in Brazil. We grew up in a free country, and my background comes from law. I'm a lawyer, and I was a public attorney, and I was used to respect our courts and to believe in justice in Brazil. And what I see now makes me very sad because we see that we are no longer living in the rule of law, no longer. We've been watching, we had our own January 6th, it was January 8th, and we saw people invading public buildings, depredating public buildings, but these people, they are being convicted for 17 years in prison as if they were doing a coup d'etat. And there were no guns. It was a Sunday, there was no authority in the buildings, either in the Supreme Court, either in the Congress, or either in the Palácio do Planalto. This is where the president stays. And there was no leader to take place, to take the power. So it was, of course, it was no coup d'etat, no attempt of coup d'etat, and these people are being tortured. And we had one of these prisoners, he had severe conditions, health conditions, and even the general prosecutor told signed that he should be released, but he was kept in prison and he died. He died in prison because nobody really cares about these prisoners now. They have no rights, no human rights. Human rights are not for these people. It's incredible. So, and those who are released, they can't, they are waiting for the sentence, the judgment, and they can't meet each other. They have to be home at 6 o'clock at night. Sometimes they can't work. And this is horrible situation that we are watching happen in Brazil. And also us that are the representatives, congressmen and congresswomen, we are having our words and not respected anymore. So as Eduardo said, we have full immunity for our words, our votes, our opinions, our manifestations. But now when we go to go to make a speech, we have this feeling that after that, whatever we say, we might be convicted for that. So it's a horrible situation because immunity, the parliamentary immunity, it's necessary so we can really represent people who vote for us. And now we see that we are facing the worst kind of dictatorship, because when dictatorship comes from the judiciary, you have no one to appeal to. And that's what we are facing right now, censorship. And this censorship, we went to Washington to talk about that, about this censorship, and we couldn't have our audition. It was postponed. And so the congressmen there, they saw that something really severe was happening, because there was that hearing, and the hearing didn't happen. And so, and we were there to talk about violations of free speech and human rights. And now what happened is that Elon Musk now is showing to the world what is really happening in Brazil. So we are here today, and we know that now everybody can see, because this fight between Elon Musk, who is fighting for freedom, fighting for free speech, and one judge from the Supreme Court. Now it is on Australian TV, it is in Washington Post, it's here, it's everywhere. Everywhere people are getting aware of the situation, this terrible situation in Brazil. So we really hope that now that things are coming, the truth is coming, something might happen. And we really count on you. We really count on the people of goodwill that still believe that we have to fight for freedom. We have to fight for justice. That's why we are here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are seeing if we get some connection with Shellenberger. Is it possible?
Not yet.
Not yet, not yet. Well, then I will give the floor now to Rob Rose. Rob Rose, as I presented him before, I want only to say he's one of these fighters for freedom in this parliament, which makes you proud. Here we have Marcel van Hattem. Then we connect directly with van Hattem. Marcel, can you hear us? Can you hear us?
You see me?
Yes, yes, now yes.
Okay, Michael Shellenberger had to
you have the
leave
floor.
for. Okay, no, you can pass to Rob Rose. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. I was just testing the audio here to see if you were listening. So if you could give it back to Rob Rose. Where's Michael? Michael will just say hi because he has an interview now with Estado. If you don't mind, we grab him back. Just a moment. He has 5 minutes and then he says hi. Just a minute.
Everybody. I can't hear anything. Hello. I can't hear anything.
Thank you very much. Hello, hello to both. Thank you very much for your really precious information about Brazil, which has been in the last days enormously important for the whole world to open the eyes of what is happening there. Thank you very much, and please, you have the floor.
Great. Well, first of all, thank you all for fighting for free speech. If we don't have free speech, we don't have democracy. We don't have our fundamental human need to speak. There is a war on free speech that is being waged by both on the culture side by the woke, who are intolerant of other people's words. And we've seen that in cancel culture over the last several years. But there's also been a new element, which is the role of governments, both through the legislative processes we've seen in Scotland and Ireland and Britain, attempting to pass legislation to engage in mass censorship. And then we've also seen the involvement of the intelligence and security agencies, which is very disturbing. And it has all of the signs of being very similar to what George Orwell described in 1984, very similar to the Spanish Inquisition. It's all done secretly, without people being able to see the evidence against them, without the right of appeal. And this is happening. We saw a huge outcry against this in Scotland. We've seen an outcry in Ireland. I do think we will win when these issues become front and center. But I do think that we are really counting on all of you in the European Parliament to push back against Thierry Breton, who is abusing his power. He wants a small committee of bureaucrats to decide what's true and false. We don't want a ministry of truth. We want to be able to have open debate, and we don't want censorship. So I appreciate you all taking on this cause, and please be in touch with me if we can help with our investigations. We'll be meeting in June this year with investigators from around the world who are identifying a very similar pattern of behavior focused on misinformation, hate, which is, by the way, a universal human emotion, human condition. So it's very scary. It's very totalitarian. It's in the culture. It's in the governments. But I do think that ultimately, when these fights are come out into the open, like they have in Scotland, like they did in Brazil, like they did in Ireland, we will win because the public doesn't want to be censored. So thank you guys very much. And I'm going to turn it back over to Marcel. I appreciate you all.
Thank you very much, Michael. So if you are staying, with us, Marcel,
I am staying. Yes, I can.
I will give the floor then to Rob Rose. Yeah?
Of course. Let me just explain. Like, it's crazy. I'm the press assistant of Michael Shellenberger. So you can imagine how many interviews he's giving the whole day here in Brazil. It's just like, and it's amazing that he's getting this media attention at this point. So thank you for the opportunity.
Well, I want to also thank the Brazilian friends and also Marcel from Sao Paulo and Michael Shellenberger for being with us in this fight and for being here in the European Parliament. The fight for freedom is not for fearful people, they say, and that's why you are here. You are here to defend your freedom, despite of all the backlash. I admire this. I'm worried about Brazil. I'm worried about the worldwide trend of leftist governments passing draconian laws to crack down on dissenting voices. When President Bolsonaro was in power, the European Union was constantly making noise against him. We were supposed to believe he was some kind of tyrant. But the truth is that there was freedom of speech. The opposition was free to disagree with the policies and the voice its dissent. Now, Lula is out of jail and back in power. And all the things the left accused Bolsonaro of, they are now actually doing that themselves. And what about the European Union? The EU is silent. Lula and Macron seem big friends, no word about the increase of censorship. Should we be surprised about this? Perhaps not. Not if we consider that the mass inquisition against conservatives in Poland is sold to the Europeans as the restoration of the rule of law. It becomes clear once and for all that the left isn't serious when it issues all of its terms: democracy, rule of law, European values. To us, these concepts are valuable and these terms have a meaning. But for the left, these terms are just tools in their toolbox to fight the right. They have weaponized these words and they use them not to descript, but to attack. It's a one-way street. And it's a global trend. I have discussed Poland, but we can also discuss the new draconian hate speech laws in Scotland and Canada. It shows how desperate the left is. They have lost the people. They have lost control over the internet, which works in a democratic way. So the only way they can gain back power is the good old communist methods: censorship, blackmail, and legal threats. And I'm so grateful that Elon Musk and X on our side and fight for the freedom together with us. Let me be clear, if you take away people's fight to voice their opinion, you are on your way to tyranny. At that point, Brazil already is a tyranny. At least Alexandre de Moraes is most definitely trying to turn Brazil into one. I admire who fights back against this, and I wish only the best for Brazil and our countries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rob. I'm going to give the floor now to Marcel van Hattem, who is a congressman. He is of the Novo in Brazil, and I didn't present because of the hurry with Shellenberger. I didn't speak about Shellenberger. Shellenberger is a very important figure that has played a role in many issues before. Now he's crucial in this coming up with the question of Twitter and of the scandal of the cutting of and repression of freedom of speech and press in Brazil. But he's an American author and journalist who writes about politics, the environment, climate change, and nuclear power, but from a very specific, very only and personal perspective. And he has outraged many of the normal, let's say the mainstream people on the academicians and activists on the environment, because he's a defender, as we are, I must say, as we are, of nuclear power. and he has in the questions of agriculture, fracking, and nuclear power, he has positions which have to need courage to be defended in many places. So that I wanted to say that Shellenberger, I thank very much Shellenberger to be there also, even if he had so short time to be. And we will contact further, and I'm looking forward to working closely with him also on these issues. Thank you very much, Marcel, and please, it's your turn.
Well, thank you so much for having me here, even though online. I must say, I apologize for not being with you there and with this amazing Brazilian group. I mean, amazing, because these guys, they are risking their own skins going to Europe. We were together in America, most of us, and of course, in Brazil. So we are in a very dangerous environment right now, in which we cannot speak up everything we want unless, I mean, I try to say everything I want, but still, we have to be careful, because at some point we can face punishments, even being sent to jail, as it happened to one of our members of Congress in the last legislature. So this is a moment in which we have to be very conscious that what we are doing will change the course of history, but we have to do it well. We have to do it wisely, and we have to do it with partners, with friends. And this is why, as well, we need to be day after day more known, and also the situation in Brazil more known in Europe and in other countries. I am a European citizen as well. I have Dutch citizenship. Actually, I talked to Rob for the first time yesterday, and we spoke a little bit of Dutch. My Dutch is not the best, but you know, it is what it is. I can speak a bit because my father was born in the Netherlands. And as an European citizen as well, as many other Brazilians also are, I have to say that the ties that we have with the European continent must mean something. And in the case of defending freedom, defending democracy, defending free economics, it must mean that we are together in all these issues that interest us and that moves us in politics as well. Having Michael Shellenberger here in Brazil, and his decision to stay here was brave. I mean, he decided, it was midnight, Saturday to Sunday. I had all my tickets booked, a hotel booked in Brussels, you know, so I was leaving on Sunday already. And when he decided he was going to stay, it was now, wow, I have to stay too, of course. It was the first thing I, thought about. But the second thing is, and even more important, is this guy is American. He loves Brazil. He lived here for some months. He speaks a little bit of Portuguese, but he's not Brazilian. And he's doing more for my country than many fellow Brazilians, even in parliament. I'm not talking about the government guys, because of course, these guys you cannot count on, but even people who are from parties in the center and people who are in the establishment, they are not doing anything close to what Michael Shellenberger is doing at the moment for us in Brazil. So this inspires us. This inspired me. This motivates me, and this is why I'm his press assistant at the moment. I'm helping him out, getting contact in the press, and this is why you receiving us in Brussels is also for me, it's also a sign that there are many people concerned throughout the world, not only with Brazil, but with freedom of expression, with democracy, and fighting tyranny and dictatorship. So thank you so much for having us there. And count on me here in Brazil. I would very much like to be with you I apologize for not being, but I'm sure you understand that staying here was at this moment more important because we're fighting for the same objectives. Thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much, Marcel van Hattem. I must say we have to value this impressive movement of having now in this situation, in this enormously dangerous situation, to have a Brazilian presence, Brazilian deputies, parliamentarians in Brussels denouncing all this development. I will give now the floor to the man who leads the Forum Madrid, which is a symbol for this cooperation, for democracy, for freedom that Marcel van Hattem was speaking now about over the Atlantic between the two continents, which we call the Western world. And that is the shared values that we defend and that we have to defend also. And we are deeply impressed, and I say with admiration for the people who take risks for the freedom of others and for the country. And that is the case of all of you Brazilians. That's the admiration we want to express you. And now I give to Eduardo Cader, director of the Forum Madrid, the floor.
Thank you very much, Herman. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for hosting this very important discussion at the most pressing time. I'm sure not only Brazilians are thankful because we are here at the European Parliament giving voice to many of those who have been silenced by the regime now in Brazil. Not only Brazilians are thankful, there are more Americans that are also suffering this censorship in many, many countries. Since Forum Madrid was created a few years ago, we have been unmasking all these abhorrent strategies that the radical left has been using to destabilize democracies and perpetrate their assault on power. Brazil has been no exception. A few months ago in February, we denounced that Alexandre de Moraes and Lula da Silva are leading Brazil adrift. They're making Brazil an authoritarian state. A series of joint actions by the executive and the judiciary continue to seek widespread incrimination and the complete suppression of political opposition, as we've seen happen in other countries. Everything under unfounded allegations of attempted coup d'etat, an intimidating and arbitrary harassment characteristic of totalitarian regimes is being carried out against anyone who dares to freely express themselves. In today's Brazil, and with matters as they are now, any citizen is subject to political imprisonment without sufficient legal basis, and anyone can become a victim of the regime's favorite practice, the fishing expedition. Recent events, such as Alexandre de Moraes' attempt to command X, the social network, operations by censoring specific voices of dissent, add to a very long list of procedural abuses, curtailment of the right of defense, and widespread politicization by the Federal Supreme Court of Brazil against not only parliamentarians, but also journalists, ordinary citizens, reminiscent of the blatant attacks on the rule of law already perpetrated by other of Lula's partners in the region. In Brazil, there is no due process of law. As Bia said, there is a dictatorship of the judiciary. De Moraes is no longer only Lula's accomplice, as we thought. He is the mastermind of the ongoing censorship, persecution, and revenge operations against the opposition. De Moraes is the inquirer, he is the prosecutor, and he is the executioner. The combination of legal police arbitrariness aimed at annihilating the opposition alongside judicial practices of tolerance towards corruption paints a very clear picture of the rapid deterioration of democratic institutions in Brazil, which will undoubtedly have a huge impact on the entire continent, already threatened by totalitarianism and the criminality of Lula da Silva's allies. Should Lula and de Moraes prevail, the entire region will continue to be in peril. There is no bigger risk right now for the continent than to lose the freedom of the Brazilian people to the hands of this toxic, tyrannical tandem. Forum Madrid remains committed to deterring their plan to impose a regressive, not progressive, a regressive democratic political agenda that will ultimately condemn Brazilians to a future of misery. Because of this, we are here again to defend the right set of values, the right set of ideas, and the right group of people. So what we want to do today is also thank the ECR Eurolat Initiative, thank Hermann, Rob, for leading the way once again on matters that until now seemed widely ignored and that if left unattended will pose even greater risks for Brazilians and for mankind. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now we have 5 minutes to close. I want the members of the Brazilian delegation, if you want to say something. First, I wanted to say hello to Margarita de la Pisa, member of Vox, member of the European Parliament, who arrived today and who came just a moment ago. Thank you very much for being here. And now I would say you both, you can close with some words this moment.
As we're talking a lot about democracy, I would highlight here that Bia Kicis is the most voted congressman from her state, actually the federal district. Also, Marcos Polongi has just arrived. He's the most voted congressman from his state. I was the most voted ever and still remain this record with almost 2 million votes in 2018 election. So what I'm talking here, that we have a massive support from the Brazilian people. And still, as these bizarre things are going on, everybody in Brazil, even sometimes they're not talking about that because they fear go to jail or get blocked at the social media. And sometimes they even work with the social media. But they still support Jair Bolsonaro. When they go to the streets, as we saw a couple of months ago, about 1 million people on the streets of São Paulo, no one can deny that he is the most loved former president that we ever have here in Brazil. And it's still going all around the country. If you go to his Twitter or Instagram or Facebook now, you're going to see the videos. And it's impossible to fight against the reality that very weird, very strange things happened in 2022 elections. So what Mr. Michael Shellenberger is showing us, what Elon Musk is tweeting nowadays about the Twitter files Brazil is only the beginning. Hope God is the beginning of the end of the dictatorship that is coming through the hands of Alexandre de Moraes. Thank you.
I would like to add that now, because of what is happening with Elon Musk, the announces, they are trying desperately to pass a bill to rule the internet. They find anything that happens is a new excuse because 2 times, we succeeded in avoiding this law being approved in Congress. So people in Brazil don't want the internet to be ruled because we know that ruling the internet means only censorship, only that. And now they are again, because of this, the facts, the events that are happening now, they're again trying to pass this bill. And we have to fight, because if they do, if the Congress approve without our votes, with us voting against, but if they have the majority and approve this law, this will be the end of freedom of speech.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Bia. You close me. Thank you. I wanted only to say that we have many other parliamentarians from Brazil have joined us now. We have to finish, but tomorrow you will have, all of you will have time to speak up in the meeting, first in the ECR Eurolat group, and then we are going to go with the parliamentarian ECR group. There you will have also the opportunity to expose your views. We have a debate tomorrow in the morning, and as I say, you will have the opportunity and time. And so I wanted to tell you as well, we are going to take the initiative. Rob Rose and I have initiated the possibility to try to get from the other groups an urgent initiative for the plenary in Strasbourg in 2 weeks' time to debate with resolution, to debate the case of Brazil. We think it's time now. People, the world can't be looking other way, and we have really to be concerned with it and speak up for that. So I thank you very much for your presence. I thank you enormously much, enormously for your traveling, for your long journey to come to fight for the freedom for all your homeland, and to do it here in Brussels. And then Rob is going to close finally the meeting. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much. And yeah, let this be the start to the freedom of Brazil and the freedom of the West. I want to thank all the people from Brazil, Eduardo, yeah, Bia, also Eduardo, but also I want to have a special thanks for Lily, because I did some interviews online, and actually that's how it started. And then she said, can we not come to the European Parliament? And that's how we arranged it. So also a very warm applause for Lily. And let's keep on fighting together. Thank you so much.
Thank you.